welcome again to another edition of Going Big Time with Mike P. I am Mike P. Steve, guess what? He's behind the camera. He's behind this camera, not this one. This is the side camera. He mans the main. Okay, so why are we here? We're going to talk about Bossa Nova today, okay? For anyone who thinks it's just elevator music, you can F right off. No, you're like, you just maybe haven't been exposed to it enough or dived deep into the glorious world that is Bossa Nova. I would encourage you to do that because it's a really cool style of music. And even if you don't love the vibe, there's lots of coordination, fun stuff to get into with it. So just to give, a background, I'm not just some like, oh, I graduated music school and I learned a couple things. Like, okay, so I am a founding member of this band, Bossa Nova. We used to be called Nova, but turns out 67,000 other groups are named Nova. So we changed it in the last few years to Bossa Nova. So we're on YouTube. That's where we kind of started. And it started very simple. We put up 4 videos just trying to get gigs, right? Just trying to get like wedding gigs and private events or whatever. Because we were all friends, we all loved the music, we were all exploring it at the same time. And then it kind of got bigger, right? And so from there, we like put out a bunch of CDs, we like learned a bunch of songs. Like we have a huge repertoire now. So much so that we've even forgotten some because we put out a lot over lockdown. And yeah, that was like every 2 weeks. A lot of people tuned in. That was very cool. But it kind of grew quite a bit. And so what originally started as like, just a fun band to play with and get a couple gigs kind of turned into this big thing where we developed an audience, people wanted to buy the albums, and we've now like been to the Maldives twice, we've been to Malaysia twice, we've been to Thailand, we've played in Egypt, we've kind of gone all over the world, you might say, right? And so I've been playing it for a while, this style of music, along with samba as well, but today we're focusing on Bossa Nova. And yeah, we've been a band since like before 2009, so at least like 17 years or so, 16, 17 years. I don't know math, I count to 4 and then I start over. And so I just want to go over some of these coordination things, because like for me it was very different than rock music, very different than even jazz. So even though it's Brazilian jazz technically, right? So but there's certain, like things you do that emulate other instruments when we're on the drum set, and that can create some tough coordination situations. So we're going to go over those things. Firstly, we're going to go over the bass drum, right? Which is like kind of the sourdo pattern, which, sourdo is like, it's kind of like a vertical bass. It's kind of like a floor tom, but it's different, okay? It's different. But the pattern is similar, and so we'll think about this in 4/4, but, like Brazilian music, like often is in like 2/2, cut time. But we'll just keep it 4/4, keep it easy, okay? Keep it simple. And so let's talk about it. So I like to think of like styles, and I've gone over this in a previous video briefly, but I want to do it in depth. This is the in-depth one. Like each style kind of has its own ostinato that things are built off of, right? And an ostinato is just a repeated rhythm, a repeated phrase over and over again. And like rock has 2 and 4 on the snare, right? And hi-hat on 2 and 4 for jazz, and quarter notes and whatever on the ride cymbal. There's specifics. So for Bossa Nova, what we want to do is, starting with the bass drum, we're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then 1, right? So we're just that's going to be just going all the time, okay? So we can do that with 8th notes on the hi-hat. So just to start, right? very slow, right? But easy. That's not bad, right? That's the easy part. You can also play the same pattern on the ride cymbal and have the hi-hat close on 2 and 4, right? So it's like. There it is. And you might notice, got a couple new cymbals, or this hi-hat and this ride, okay? I just did a cymbal video going over all of my collection. Previous video, you should check it out. Maybe I'll put it at the end. Maybe I'll have Steve. Steve, can you do this corner thing? Let's do that again. We just keep these things coming, you know? You gotta reference past stuff. You gotta check that stuff out. Otherwise you're gonna be totally lost. This whole series is categorized as a course, so let's see where you're at, if you're caught up or not. But either way, you can always go there, right? Okay, so that's our right foot pattern. Okay, so with our left hand, there's, you know, traditionally we can do like the son clave, the rumba clave, all these other different claves, right? Which is just a combination of upbeats and downbeats. And so rather than like learn those specifically and just only play those and only know those, what I like to do with stuff like this is get comfortable with any sort of upbeat or downbeat, right? So we just like exploit the crap out of all the downbeats, all the upbeats, make them feel exactly the same comfort level. And then when we get into the patterns that we can play or improvising, nothing feels foreign to us, right? Like we've done all that stuff already. Kind of like my first drum video. I love talking about that. But that's kind of like my system if you haven't caught on already. In case you're a fan, you probably have seen this or, you know, experienced this, that I like to master everything within that context, right? So with the bass drum fluency, it's like getting the bass drum to be put anywhere in the 16th note grid and be comfortable. This is the same thing now with the left hand on the snare drum. So we're gonna start, of course, just doing cross stick. What is cross stick? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we wanna have the stick lay across the snare drum. Hope you can see this. Steve, you set this up right, yeah?
I think so.
Okay, so we got maybe like 3 inches, we'll say, off of the drum, okay? The butt of the stick, don't, Steve, grow up, dude.
It's a butt.
It's the butt of the, it's the butt of the stick, okay? The back part of the stick, that's what we're gonna use, okay? Just about 3 inches off the rim, okay? Hand, we're just laying flat right now, right? It's like going across our knuckles, almost. I don't know if you can see this, but yeah, it's like that, basically, right? And all we have to do, get that little fulcrum, that little pinch that we learned way back, right? Let the other fingers just relax. No tension there, right? So we're having the foundation, the whole thing, resting on that palm, right? Because that's gonna be our up and down, right? Butt at the back end of the stick. Steve, shut up, dude. Don't laugh at butt. It's just a word, man. Oh, okay. So we have the stick, the other end of the stick, we'll say, back here, right? As you can see, we can do this, right? I'm probably, Steve, you didn't charge this baby. It's gonna die soon. So if we lose this camera, it's okay. We'll just keep going. But either way, that's what we want, okay? Because otherwise, if you're all the way back, gross. Too far, sounds like weak and lame, right? It's just all over. There's tones all over the place, which we can use, you know, to kind of spice things up. But that's the general technique, right? Flat hand, there it is, pinch, okay? Much better sound. So, like I was saying, we want to get into the coordination aspects of what we can do with this, right, with our left hand. So, first things first, we get the ostinato going between our right hand playing 8th notes, bass drum doing that pattern. 1, and of 2, 3, and of 4, right? Really worried about this camera. I thought there was enough battery, but that's okay. All right, so let's start the ostinato, and I'm just gonna bring in the downbeats, okay? That means numbers. We're gonna play the numbers. So here we go. Beautiful. So that's all it is, right? If that's tough at first, like, you know, getting the bass drum to do that, I've had students have some trouble with that, right? So that can happen. What I love to do, my best advice for when working on a new thing like this, remove an element, right? Bass drum's too weird. Maybe it's like we're thinking about too much at once. Let's just only do hi-hat and snare drum first, right? So 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Then maybe bring in the bass drum. And there we go, okay? Segue. All right, we're back. Okay, I could see Steve was visibly sweating. He was stressed out about this. You know you were. So we got a new battery. We're all set. We can see the upbeats now, because that's where we were. We did all of the downbeats, the numbers. Now we're gonna address the ands, right? So same type of thing, of course. Let's just do the hi-hat and the cross stick, right? So every and. So we're gonna go 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Easy. Now, let's do that. Let's do it with the bass drum first, hi-hat and bass drum. Bring in the ands, right? Sometimes you gotta come at it from different angles. You could start with what I was just doing, bring in the bass drum. Let's do bass drum first, bring in this. Cool. So get all that stuff down, right? Because from there, we want to be able to play anything, right? We want to be able to improvise. We want to be able to play all of the possible claves, right? Because you probably heard the 3/2s, a couple of the 3/2s, right? Where it's like, right? Or the, right? Or that samba thing. Right? Just down, down, up, 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 down, down, right? So those are a couple, right? And we just want to be able to experiment with those, with all of that stuff working together, right? So to even just get really comfortable with our upbeats and downbeats, try doing them back to back, right? Like maybe a bar or two of the downbeats, bar or two of the upbeats, right? There you go. So the more you can just like switch it up, go back and forth, get really fluent with your left hand, playing anything you want against this ostinato, you're gonna be in good shape. So let's try a couple of those claves and stuff while doing all this stuff, okay? So first one I did, right? There it is. That's all it is, right? And again, we can do this on the ride. Left foot, 2 and 4, right? So. Sacrilegious, changing up those claves right in the middle of the phrase. But that's all right, whatever. We're just trying things out, right? We're trying to get comfortable with all this stuff. So those are some initial ideas, right? If you want to go a little deeper, little bonus material right here, we can introduce some 16th notes. bonus material. We're gonna go over 16th note possibilities. You know, we gotta be careful with these. We don't wanna step on the singer's toes, right? So we gotta keep it sexy. Bossa Nova is all about being sexy. It's not for elevators. No, it's not for elevators, okay? It's not elevator music. It is a rich cultural tradition, and it's sexy. It feels good. You gotta listen to it. Go check it out if you haven't. But either way, we're gonna play some 16th notes. You're not gonna always use these, especially depending if it's on a slower song or whatever. So let's check these out. We're gonna do all the 1E, E and a 1, right? Steve, maybe we'll label this at the bottom for each one just to, you know, due diligence, make sure we're all on the same page. Okay, here we go. And now. There it is, right? And you can get real crazy with those, right? You can do some different patterns. Think about, you know, polyrhythms almost, right? Just like over the bar line stuff you can do with that just to help with phrases, because you never know what's gonna happen, especially if you're playing with a soloist, right? Guitar player starts going nuts. You gotta be ready to kind of jump on some of those rhythms, help support what he's playing, she's playing, whatever. You know, you just gotta be ready for that. And to have that stuff in our back pocket and be already comfortable with it, it's gonna just open doors for you and be able to be more expressive, right? That's what we want. We wanna unlock just being able to express ourselves on the drum set and not be held back by like these technical things that we could have just worked on and we would have been fine, right? So yeah, just play around with it, right? There we have it. There's some stuff, right? Some random action. Again, this might not be what you play in a song, but you want to be able to explore that stuff and pull that out whenever you want it, you know? So, you know, check that out, you know, if you want to go big time.